Welcome to the Parkland Report. I'm Stephanie Stewart, Vice President for Communications and External Affairs here at Parkland College. This is the show where we talk to people making things happen here at the college. Today, my guest is Professor Jody Littleton in our Communications Department. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled.
So we have several topics to cover today because you're involved in so many different things here at the college. But can you start off and just talk about maybe the classes that you teach and the things that you're involved with here at Parkland?
Okay. So yeah, I was telling before that I was gonna wear multiple hats because I have multiple jobs. So my primary job is to be the professor in the communication department. So I teach public speaking, interpersonal communication. So those are my two main classes. And then in addition to that, I work in the presentation center, which is a space where students come in and practice and get help with their speeches. And then one of my other jobs is also international. So I get to do study abroad, which I'm so excited about that. And then another really great thing that we have been doing, this is our 20th anniversary, is the David Jones Public Speaking Contest.
Wow, that's a large portfolio.
Yes.
So we're going to unpack it all.
Okay.
Public speaking, that's a huge fear, I'm sure, for lots of students. So when they take your class, what is it like to see a student come in the first day that might be a little bit nervous about the class or about what it might entail to stand up in front of a group?
It is. It's a big fear for everyone. And I think even post-pandemic, people just haven't had that chance to have that live interaction. So maybe even a little bit more anxiety than before. One of the things that I think most of us, and myself included, try to do in classes is just make people more comfortable. So really try to get the class to know each other. So we do a lot of activities in the first couple weeks to let people kind of get to know each other's names. And then we do, before every speech, I have them do some different exercises to help them relax and help them focus and help them think more positively about what they're about to do. Because it is huge, it's mainly a mind game. I mean, public speaking is all about how you think, and so that really dictates how you feel. So
it's a skill that will be used across a lot of different jobs and industries, so it's great that you have that skill set to help students get more comfortable with it. And then the presentation center is a place you can come to prepare for those sorts of things. So how do students access the presentation center, and what do they need to come prepared with to access those services?
Well, the presentation center is a walk-in service, so this semester we're open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, and if those hours don't work for you, then we can work with that. So we can work outside those hours if you make an appointment. And it's great because it really helps students with every aspect of public speaking. So I've helped students with just choosing topics, worked with them on their outlines and organizing, helped with research. We can help with building PowerPoints, and then of course the final part, which is the practicing and preparing, which helps reduce that nervousness that people have, so helping them really feel like they're ready to go. And so that's what I love about the presentation center, is we really help them wherever they're at. And we have multiple, people come in multiple times during a single speech to get help with different things, so that's been fun. And also just help with anxiety. So I remember one summer school, I had a student who had tried to go through public speaking 3 times. He was on his 4th time, and he needed it to graduate, and this was it. And so he came into the presentation center almost every day, and we just worked with him on, helping him kind of calm down and focus, and he got through it and he passed, so that was a thrill.
That's great. That's great. And thank you also for being a partner of the Presentation Center, partnering with Cobra Ventures,
Yes.
that program where students are asked to not only develop a business plan, but get up and pitch the idea. So talk about a public speaking moment.
Yes.
And so that's been a great partnership over time.
Yes, I really enjoyed that because I've got to see the students progress, and we have had, I think the last couple years, the winner has always come to the presentation center.
Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that. Okay.
So last year's winner, I worked with her a lot, and
Very
then
good.
I know one other year, maybe it was pre-COVID, worked with that student, and she also was the winner that year. So I'm like, yes.
It speaks volumes.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of talent and they have
Yes.
an awesome product, but it does. I think the fact that they were so dedicated to and spent so much time practicing, that pays off.
Yeah, put some polish on an already strong idea. Absolutely. So I might skip to one of the last things that you mentioned, which is the speech competition, since we're talking about all of public speaking. So tell us about the David Jones Speech Competition, maybe how it started and what it is.
So the David Jones Speech Contest is in honor of a department chair that was here 20 some years ago, and he had unfortunately passed away from cancer before he could even retire. He was I look at it as young now because I'm getting close to that age, but he was 57 and like a year from retirement, and it was just everybody loved him. He was one of those guys that he knew everybody on campus. He'd been there for a long time. He was funny and just connected with everybody. And so when he passed away, it was just this huge hole. And so we spent about 2 years raising money for a scholarship of some sort, and we had it endowed. So that was a testament again to how much people loved him, because it was a pretty quick process, and this was just kind of groundwork for just myself and Julie Wisher were the two that were doing it. And so once we had that, then we had to decide what we were going to do with the money. And so we decided that the best way to honor him was to create this speech contest. We actually got the idea from one of my professors from Eastern Illinois University. They were doing two contests in honor of two former faculty that they'd had. And so it grew out of that, and now it's also helping the community, because it is the students have to give a persuasive speech on a charity. And so the winner gets not only $500 for them personally, and this is just a $500 cash award, but they also have $500 donated to the charity that they spoke on behalf of in their name. So that's a really nice thing, I think. And then all of our finalists get cash. So don't quote me on this, but I think it's $250 for second place, $150 for third, and then after that it's $50. And usually we have between 4 and I think we've had the maximum is 6 finalists.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so it's a really great experience.
Yeah, what a wonderful way to honor that memory and give back to the community. So students don't necessarily, they have to write the speech, but they have a really focused topic that's community-based. So if students want to participate, how do they learn more and prepare for the speech competition? What do they need to do?
So the first thing that's easiest, and I would just go to Parkland's website, parkland.edu. Probably the easiest thing to do is just search in the Parkland website for speech contest, or if you want to put David Jones speech contest. But I think if you just even type in speech contest, it'll pop up. And then go to that website. So we have a page in the Parkland website, and that has all the information in it. It has the application, it has the rules, it has suggestions for how to prepare. And so that's a great place to start. If that doesn't work for you, just come to me or just contact the communication department here at Parkland. We can help you. Go to the presentation center. We have flyers there. So there's multiple places. So if you don't want to do the website, come to the presentation center. We have stuff there that you can pick up. We have stuff in the communication department that you can look at. So yeah, all kinds of places to go. And then one thing is to choose your charity, and it does have to be a registered charity. And I always say it's 503B, 503.
501c3.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I always get that messed up. And so it does have to, that's one of the regulations, and it does have to have a base here in the United States, because it's very difficult for us to put money out to England or wherever, because you have to convert currency. So they have to have a base here in the US. But other than that, it's pretty much any charity. We've had all kinds of, and everything from dogs and cats to, cancer and everything in between. So lots of really cool charities that we've learned about over the years. So that's been interesting and fun for us as well as faculty. So we've really learned a lot, and the students are amazing. They give amazing speeches, and they're so passionate, and they have such great connections to these charities. Most of them have some personal connection that they talk about, and I think that makes it so much more meaningful. But yeah, so it's a great opportunity for students.
Wonderful. Yeah, it sounds like an excellent, something excellent to just go listen to
It is.
as well. So you alluded to this a little bit in terms of an international perspective for students, which you're also heavily involved in and are coordinating for the college in terms of study abroad opportunities and students gaining those international perspectives. So can you share about your role and some of the
Sure.
opportunities we have at Parkland?
We have, surprisingly, people don't realize that community colleges do offer study abroad. So one of my goals is to let students and the community know that we have this opportunity. And I think what's unique about the community college, maybe from a university perspective, is that community members can go on these study abroad trips. If you sign up as a non-degree seeking student, fill out an application to be a Parkland student, and then you fill out the study abroad application. I've had retirees, I've had people that are still working, if they can take a month off or a couple weeks off, and they can go on these study abroad. So, and they're all different age groups. I mean, it's not just traditional age students that do study abroad. So like I said, 20s, 30s, 40s, and up. I think my oldest study abroad was a 70-year-old gentleman who had retired from the grocery store business and decided that he wanted to find his French roots. So he went to France for a month and did the study abroad program there. So it's just really a cool opportunity. We belong to a consortium, the Illinois Consortium for International Studies and Programs, which is a mouthful. We call it ISIP. So ISIP allows us to offer a lot more study abroad than I would be able to handle on my own, because it's just a small release time for me to run this program. So this allows me to, I think currently is it 8 or 9? So let me list them off. So we have Austria, so we have a lot in Europe. So we have Austria, we have Spain, we have Ireland, we have England, we have Italy, and we have France. I think that's all of our European ones. And then we have Costa Rica, and we have China. So we have 8 study abroad programs. Wow. Oh, and we have Japan. That one is our own program, kind of homegrown. One of our faculty in the psychology department is running that. And that one hopefully will continue. But again, it's a lot of work when you're creating it and doing it all on your own. And that's the great thing about this consortium, is it spreads out the work so that it's not all on 1 or 2 people. And we try to keep them as easy as possible to run, so that's really nice. So we have a lot of programming. It's spring, summer, and fall, depending on where you want to go. We do offer a lot in the summer because it's easier for students, shorter periods of time. So we have France, Italy, Japan, Costa Rica, Ireland, Spain, and Austria. So almost, most of them. England is one of the few. China doesn't have a summer program. But those are really the only 2 that really only have spring or fall. So we have a lot of opportunities in the summer, so I'm very excited about that. We have a lot of students already signing up, so that's great. I'm very, post-COVID, we were out for like 3 years, so just excited to get back, so that's been nice.
So what are the experiences? The students are going all around the world, getting these immersive experiences. So when they come back, and I'm sure you're connecting with them once they come back to the States, come back to Parkland, what are some of the most common things that you learn from them about their experiences, or maybe the perspective that they've gained as a result?
Interestingly enough, one of the things they talk about most is how much they learned about themselves. So, you think when you go on a study abroad program, I'm going to learn all about France, or I'm going to learn all about Italy. But one of the things that I think they come back surprised about is, you don't really understand your own culture until you're a fish out of water, until you're in another culture. So you learn a lot about our culture as in the United States and how we're different from other places, but also you learn a lot about who you are as a person and what your strengths are and how much you can grow. Students really talk about how how much they learned about teamwork because they're with a group for a month or a semester. They learn a lot about how that they're much more confident than they thought they were. They learn about a lot of interpersonal skills. So I think that's, as teaching interpersonal communication, that's a thrill for me, that they're really expanding kind of their horizons and learning that they have a lot of potential. So that's really interesting, I think. They love what they do. They make great friends. I always tell the classes that I visit that these are people that you're probably going to keep in touch with maybe for the rest of your life. I've been doing this for 10 years. I still keep in touch with students that I've worked with since 2013. I see on Instagram and other social media that they're keeping in touch with each other, that they're actually getting together. Like I have this one group from 2015 that every year they come back, usually during Christmas holidays, and get together and have drinks and share what's going on in their lives. So that's really cool. And so yeah, it's a lot more than just visiting the country. I mean, you learn so much about other people, and you just have a really great time and make those connections. And again, it gets you addicted to travel. So a lot of these students are doing other travel after they get done with their study abroad program, and they're visiting the people that they've met and become friends with. I mean, most of these study abroad programs are more than just American students. They're students coming in to learn a language, like for instance, France. The University of Bourgogne, it's a big language school. So you've got Brazilian students, and you've got people from Germany and people from Korea and all over the world coming to learn France for the summer. Or French, I should say. And so, so you get to be friends with those people as well. And so that's fun. I still keep in touch. My very first year, 2013, I spent a whole month in France, and I did the whole program. I took the classes, and there was this family there from Finland, and they were there with their adult daughter, and the husband and wife decided to take one of the classes, and they were in the class with me. And I still keep in touch with them. We still email back and forth, and someday I'm going to get over there and visit them as well. So I'm excited about that.
That's great. And you just returned from a conference on
Yes.
this topic, and Dr. Lau, our president, is also a board member of
Yes.
this organization, and so it is obviously a priority of Parkland to really engage in expanding those international perspectives. So can you share a little bit about where you went and
Sure.
and what your involvement there is?
Yes, so Parkland is heavily involved in Community Colleges for International Development, or CCID, and so CCID holds a conference about this time every year, and this year it was in Washington, D.C., so that was amazing because it was so easy. There were so many government agencies there because, as I was telling you before we started filming, the government has realized that community colleges are a gold mine for opportunities for their workforce, because they have as I was talking to one of the Department of State people, he was saying, anything that you're interested in, the federal government has a job. Computers, it doesn't matter, whatever you're interested in, there's something there for you. And so they obviously have a lot of jobs that involve international travel or international relations. And so they are tying into CCID in order to reach out to those community colleges. And I have to say, in the last couple of years, I think the federal government is really providing more programming for students to do short-term study abroad or opportunities for internships with different federal government agencies that expose them to embassy work and working in international relations, so that students, if they really love, they fall in love with what they're doing with study abroad, they can continue that. They can, work in that their whole lives. And so I think that's really amazing because especially for the Midwest, we're not exposed to that. We're not on the East Coast. And so I think trying to get students more aware of that. So what I was saying to you earlier is I want to put on our study abroad webpage. I got a bunch of information from the Department of State, the Department of Commerce, and they have all these links to these different opportunities for students. And so I'm going to try to get that on our website so that students can kind of look through that and see if there's anything that looks interesting to them. Because a lot of what the federal government offers is paid for. I mean, paid internships and paid opportunities. And for someone, like what I was when I was at a community college, that's, that's perfect.
That's the difference maker of being able to do it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it a paid opportunity? Do I have to work and do this, or can I fully
Yes.
dedicate my time to it? And so I wanted to ask you as well about your sabbatical, because it was connected to CCID and your involvement there, as well as study abroad. So I know it's been about a year and a half maybe since.
29. It was 20. It was actually right in the middle of COVID. It was the fall of 2020.
Yes, but you had an excellent sort of end product as a result of that. You want to share a little bit?
Yeah. So I have a podcast called Growing International. So you can look it up. It's on Podbean, but if you just Google it. And so Growing International is focused. One of the things when I was doing my sabbatical originally, I think in my sabbatical proposal, it was kind of geared more, I was thinking more towards students. But when I started looking at podcasts and what was out there, there's tons of podcasts for students for international development and study abroad. But there's not a lot, it's a smaller niche, obviously, but there's not a lot for professionals in the field. So people like me, and I'm a little one-person shop. I mean, there's nobody here at Parkland. It's not like I'm part of a big office with multiple people and we're all working together. And so that's the real value for me of like CCID and ISIP is, I can brainstorm with other people that are doing the same thing. So this podcast kind of extends that a little bit further. So it is interviews with people that have value to people that are study abroad coordinators or people that do international recruiting. So people in the higher education field that do jobs like what I'm doing. And so I interview people people at CCID, the vendors, people that are doing cool things, conference presentations and that kind of thing. So it's been a really fun activity for me.
Yeah.
So kind of like what you're doing with this.
Right.
Only it's just audio.
Yeah, that's
which is
wonderful.
Fun. Yeah,
it's wonderful. I've listened in on a couple of your episodes, and I remember very early on, you're like, "Hey, I'm going to start a podcast," and now it's great to see how it's grown and is a resource there for others that are doing the same work and looking to gain those same insights to make their programs even better. Well, Jody, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure, and of course, great to share with our audience. That's it for today's episode of the Parkland Report. We hope you'll watch next time, and we will see you back here at the table with our guests and learn more about people making things happen here at Parkland College.
The first time that I went abroad was with Parkland College. I went to Seville, Spain in would have been the spring semester of 2015. We focused on sort of the history and religion and culture of Seville. And so, for me getting to be part of that was really extraordinary. The biggest cathedral in the world is in Seville, as is one of the biggest Muslim artifacts. I got to observe a lot of sort of intercultural architecture and view a lot of history firsthand, which is not an opportunity that we get in the States, and that was really exciting to me. We did Spanish language study, of course, about 2.5 hours every day, which is as exhausting as it sounds. We also studied sort of the art and culture of the UK in particular. One of the people that was attached to the college worked in museums and ended up teaching flamenco classes to all of the students or those who wanted them. I transferred from Parkland to the U of I, of course, and majored in religion at the University of Illinois. Got the opportunity to go to the University of Manchester, which is the third best religious studies university in the UK. And so was really excited about that and went there for a semester in the end of 2016. The program at the University of Manchester was filled with scholars and other students with the same interests as me and had a great time. It's a great university, great city. And so I ended up going back for a year program to finish up my bachelor's in 2017-18 and then ended up doing grad school there, which is what I'm working on at the moment. We tend to have very sort of short historical memories in the States, and some of that is just due to the fact that, we as a country have only existed for 250 years or so. You can go to a church that's 1,000 years old. You can go to a museum that's existed since the Renaissance, and that's not an opportunity you have here. Being able to understand the way that societies change and adapt differently, I think really influenced my view. You cannot just expect all work to get done in 6 hours and be ready for you whenever you want it. And that is true in you know, the way that you go shopping, the way that you do transportation, you know, everything like that. It's the pace of life in the U.S. is definitely much quicker than in the UK or in Spain. I grew up, you know, half an hour south of here, and so flying into another country and then having to get from the airport to the train station and the train station to Seville was a completely new thing for me. And so, you know, for me personally, learning how to just sort of get by on my own is something that I definitely initially learned through study abroad. And then the other thing is just don't be daunted by sort of the initial challenges. Study abroad programs will often come with an initial price tag, and the price tag can seem daunting, but it's also important to realize that that price tag comes with everything included. So where you stay is included, the food you eat is included, your studies are included. You might do traveling on your own, but even so, it's less expensive than you think it is. Obviously, if you travel on your own, you've never done that before, that's scary, but there are people there to help. You know, if you've never been in a country where you don't speak the language before, that's scary too, but your professors are there to give you advice and have watched other people go through this and will be able to help you get through it.